Hey everybody, welcome back to day 3, Breakfast with Bob from beautiful Edmonton, Canada. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're brought to you by Master Spas, SFuels Go Longer, Quintana, HOKA One, Form Smart Swim Goggles, Zoot Sports, the original triathlon brand, Premium Plus Sports, and of course our Challenged Athletes Foundation. Our next guest has been having a phenomenal season, coming off a second at Watkins Glen, a win at 70.3 Chattanooga, second at Clash Miami, second at Alcatraz. Mr. Jason West joins us. Jason, you've been on a lot of podiums.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good year. It's been busy racing, which is good.
Which you
to
like.
have a full calendar again, and yeah, it's definitely been a lot.
We were chatting before we started about people, the ITU races, and then people can move to the Toyota Cup Series and do Lifetime Minneapolis and New York and Chicago, and sort of have that transition to potentially, if you feel like it, going to 70.3. That's sort of gone.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, I just think it's tough for developmental athletes, like the college kids.
Right.
Like if I think when I graduated college, could I have jumped right into 70.3, things like that? I think it would have been pretty tough.
Right.
It just takes a little bit more time and age to really build up the strength for that. So, yeah, I mean, I've always been a big believer in the short course racing, and I still believe in it. I still think it elevates my 70.3 racing a ton.
Question.
Like, you still have to have that gear. If you don't have that gear, like, you're probably going to get dropped at some point in 70.3 because you're going to be racing at that intensity at some point. So, yeah, I wish more of it would come back. Maybe the PTO will support some short course stuff at some point.
I think they will down the line.
Yeah, maybe for some of the more like developmental track athletes, like, hey, let's put together some sort of series. And yeah, I think that would be really exciting.
So this last couple of years, you've been phenomenal, right? Do you think these have been the best years of your career so far?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it's been tough coming off of COVID. Like, things were so sporadic. We're finally having a full race season again. And I feel like I've been at the 70.3 thing for a little over a year now. So I'm really starting to see some of the benefits. Like this year, it's been another jump in performance, I think. Yeah, I'm starting to come into my own, I feel like.
Well, and the races you're in, like when you get 6th in a 70.3 California, it's Alistair Brownlee, and it's Lionel Sanders, and it's Rudy Von Berg. I mean, it's Ben Canute, who won that thing multiple times. You're going against top fields when you're racing.
Yeah, I feel like in all those races, even if I didn't, wasn't first, second, whatever, I was really in the race. And maybe I didn't have that day, but you can't be 100% at every race, right? So as long as I'm like in every race and I'm seeing what I want to see at that time, then that's good. And yeah, I feel like I've been right up there pretty much every race at where I need to be. And that's really exciting because all those little things I've been working on, like, they start to come out in the races.
So what have you been working on?
Mostly just trying to figure out, like, the ride, the dynamics of it, how to be strong enough, tactically where to go. Like, I think I lost one race last year a little bit just because tactically I was a little off. And I was like, afterwards, I was like, I shouldn't have done that. That was stupid. But that's how you learn.
Exactly.
Right? So... yeah, it takes a lot of patience sometimes, especially like a race like Chattanooga.
Yes.
The championship races where you really have to pick and choose like where you put in your effort and things like that. And it took a lot of patience. I think a lot of people were frustrated. We were in a big pack, and it was just like you just got to sit there and wait, and stuff like that. And you got to be able to have that patience and know when you're going to be able to effectively win the race and things like that. So, so that was a huge day for me. And
big win.
Yeah, huge.
Big win, really good field, and just basically seeing everything come together.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it was like the perfect day for me. And that was like a performance I had been, working so hard for.
Yes.
And it was like, just about as good as it could get on that day. So, and then, great field. It's a championship race to get my first, championship win. That was a big deal. So yeah, it's been pretty good.
Pretty fun. Well, and then the other race I thought was really fun at Clash Miami, where Americans sweep the podium, right? You know, you've got
the hottest day in history of triathlon.
So hot. And there's not a lot of shade out there. No. There's nothing, right? And you're running your way through the field.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a great run that day. I mean, did you feel how hot it was? Or was it one of those things when you didn't really feel it until you were done?
Yeah, I was doing okay, to be honest. I don't know if we just adjusted our race plan enough.
Yes.
And it was like, you know, I think everybody was dialing it down, and you're just, as you're racing, you're like, you know, this doesn't feel that hard, but I know it's really hot. Hopefully I've got this quite right. And the last lap, it started hitting me, and I was like, oh boy. But that, you know, that's how you know you did it just about right, you know? So, but yeah, awesome venue. Clash is just incredible. All the races that I've done with them, they're just incredible. The way they support their athletes, the commitment they have to putting on a good race. Yeah, it's just been really great for the sport. I think what they're doing, I mean, the production they're able to put on around the racetracks and things like that.
Right?
Yeah,
it's a television show, which is awesome.
It's really great. So I think it's awesome for the sport. We got some different distances, which I think is cool. It's not just like a standard half or whatever. This year in Daytona, they're actually going back to the Daytona distance, which I'm super excited about.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, they're doing a lot of innovative stuff, and it's been really cool.
Well, Watkins Glen, where you had the battle with Starkey, but we're talking Victory at Sea swim. It looked like that thing was brutal.
Yeah, it was. They were like, in the morning, the lake's going to be like glass.
Broken glass.
Yeah, we show up, and it's like, like there was all this wind, and this was like so slow because the water was just all over the place. You're like in a washing machine the whole time. So
uphill swim.
Yeah, it's like, well, you know, there's a ton of hills on the bike and the run. Why not some hills in the swim?
Oh, and then you're climbing to the track. It's like, and then the track is not like, okay, it's a road course, but most road courses don't have that type of climbing in it.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, it was pretty much never flat. Like you're just
up or down.
So the whole course, I mean, everybody was like, "Oh, it's really hilly there," and usually you're kind of like, you know, it'll be all right.
I'm a pro. I've seen hilly.
It was hard. I was like, I think I'm going to try to train through this one and get to Edmonton really fit. And I was like, 30 minutes into that ride, I was like, this is so hard. But that's awesome. You know, it's fun to have courses like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and then here you've got, 3-lap swim and 4-lap bike, and you're 3 climbs per lap and then a run. There's a lot of personality to this.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting because the climbs are pretty tough and they're not super short.
Right.
So a couple of them are, you know, you're going to be grinding up for a little bit. And there's 3 per lap, so you're looking at basically like 12 climbs throughout 80 Ks.
Yeah,
that's gonna shake up the race a lot. There's some pretty fast sections as well.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be an interesting dynamic, I think, with how it's gonna play out. I mean, everybody here obviously is just an incredible athlete.
Yeah.
Like there's nobody on this list that's like easy to beat.
No.
Of 40 guys or whatever. So it's gonna be. I'm just interested if we're all like, there's gonna be massive groups out of the water,
with the 20-meter,
you know, how do you? It's gonna be tough. But yeah, like I said, it's gonna be a race of like probably little moments, right? Hey, I need to win this little moment.
Yes.
And it's gonna set up the rest of the race. So it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be crazy.
Because when you've got $1 million on the line, right, and 100 and it's 100 for first, and even if you finish 21st to 40th, it's $2,000.
Yeah.
So people can take some chances going, okay, all I got to do is finish and I got $2,000, but I'm in 18th, that's 7.
Yeah.
And if I get to 15th, that's 10. There's 3 more grand there. So there's incentive all the way to the line.
Yeah.
For nobody's dialing it back.
Yeah. You're going to be sprinting the line for 12th. Absolutely. I mean, which is great. We just want hard racing all the way to the line, all the way back, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's great what the PTO is doing with these races. Like, we can really focus on them and get the big payout for the big day. And it's just exciting. It's an exciting time of the sport.
I think it's a great time for the sport with Super League and with Challenge and Clash, and obviously PTO and Ironman and 70 point. There's a lot of options. Which
it
is
was
nice.
Especially coming off the last couple of years where we weren't able to race, and now we're racing, and we're like, oh my God, there's so many races. Like some of the ITU guys are trying to do ITU. Do they do Super League? Do they do these races?
Right.
Do they do try to race an Ironman? Like, it's like, man, what do you pick? And it's almost like there's too many for some people, and it's like trying to focus in on like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna let those ones go, and I'm gonna focus on this. This is gonna be my thing.
Well,
or something like that, you know.
In the past, you sort of had a race every weekend to make dollars. And now, when you have a race like this and U.S. Open and Collins Cup, which now where do you stand on that with Collins Cup?
Oh man,
I know last year you wanted to be on that team last year.
I think I'm in like 7th for the U.S. rankings right now because the Ironman scores, they're boosting everybody.
That's right.
So, but I think I was actually looking last night, and if you just look at this year's halves, I think I would be in 2nd. So if you dial it, like if you look at it that way, I'm pretty up there. So hopefully I can get a captain's pick and get to the Collins Cup, and a big part of that is racing really well this weekend. Because there's actually, I think 4 of the top 6 for the Americans actually aren't even here. So which is interesting.
Was it just you and Ben?
Yeah, me and Ben, and then some other guys below me, I think. But so it's going to be interesting, but we're all going to be battling it out, I think, for these captain's picks. And even just trying to boost ourselves up into an auto qualification spot, I think, is possible. So with how hard this race is going to be and how fast it's going to be. So, hopefully I get there. If not,
hey, you gave it a shot.
I'll give it, I'll get there next year. But, that's been a goal for the year for sure. So
well, that's the cool part about this is whatever you do here, that plays into either going to the Collins Cup, not going to Collins Cup, and then you get guaranteed dollars for being selected for that. So there's a lot of line here.
Yeah, but
which you like.
At the end of the day, it's just swim, bike, run.
Exactly. How close did you get to catching Starkey?
Man, I was within like 20 or 30 seconds, and I could see him. I mean, I was bringing the gap back so fast, and I had some asthma issues start to flare up. What happens sometimes, which was kind of weird in that climate for me. But, it's just you can't have anything go wrong and try to win races. There are no easy wins.
Those unique style races, Watkins Glen, Alcatraz, those seem to be really good for you.
Yeah, I think I just get excited for different things like that. I think there's like a freshness to it. There's an excitement around it. I think when you're just getting ready for like the same old, hey, this distance, it's going to be like a pretty standard race. It's almost like been there, done that. And I haven't even been there and done that many times. But I think, it's easy to get excited for different things and, just kind of like go attack it with a different mindset of like, I'm just going to like smash this. I'm not looking at my watch. I'm not looking at anything. Like, you just need to find a way to get to the front and race. And that's so exciing. It kind of brings you back to your roots and, you're not focused on all the other stuff. You're just a competitor and you're racing. So, just really, really exciting. I think, just the vibe around those races.
Well, and now you didn't do WTS races. Did you do any of those?
I did a few, but I never here in Edmonton.
Okay. Because a lot of the I2 guys are like, I've been here 10 times. So the little home court advantage. They know the ups and downs. You got a number of the Canadian athletes who who are very excited to be racing right here at home. But the crowds should be big. I think they're so used to triathlon here. I think you're going to see a lot of spectators out there, which will make it so fun on a multiple loop course.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool, especially like you said, multiple loops.
Yes.
So there's going to be, I think, areas where there's some crowds coming out, and you'll keep hitting them over and over and over again. So that's really exciting. It just brings a lot of energy. I think the run course will be just super electric because we're just kind of out and back from the park.
Yes.
And like that's probably going to be lined for most of it.
Question.
You know what I mean? So,
no question.
And we're doing 4 laps of that. So it's like everybody's seeing each other constantly. The crowds are into it. I love courses that are looped like this because it brings that energy. And
when you know where you're at.
Yeah.
And you can see where you got to get.
Yeah. So I think for me, I've always liked that. Some guys don't, some guys do. But, I think it's going to be just
So
awesome.
fun. And also the mix. ITU athletes, 70.3 guys,
Yeah.
Ironman guys. Anybody in particular you haven't raced before that you're excited to race?
Man, I honestly haven't raced a ton of the European long course guys.
Oh, yeah.
Because since I've been in long course, there hasn't been much traveling around the
Right.
world. So a lot of them was totally unknown to me. But,
And you're
it's
unknown to them.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. But yeah, I think these distances, I've always said, I think this is probably the most competitive distance in triathlon nowadays.
question.
I think you look at some of the Ironmans and you're like, there's not that many guys on the list, but everybody can come up and come down, and we can meet at this distance and have a super hard race,
Right.
and it almost feels like it's even, So I think these middle distance races at a high level, you look at the start lists and you're just like, this is insane. We've never seen anything like this in triathlon. And you keep saying that, because they keep getting crazier.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think this distance is probably the most exciting in triathlon right now.
And what's going to be fun is I think Eurosport will be showing Tour de France on Saturday and Sunday, and then the men's race will be right after the final of the Tour de France on Eurosport.
Yeah, and that's the awesome thing, getting the fans excited, maybe getting some fans that watch something similar like the Tour de France, and
Endurance.
Yeah, they get interested in this, and that's the big goal, right? Is growing the sport.
Exactly.
And so everything they do is super strategic, and they're doing such an amazing job. You don't even see all the stuff going on behind the scenes, and you're like, oh wow, I had no idea why we were racing at 12:45. Now I know.
No, exactly.
So
exactly.
yeah, so it's incredible. They're doing a great job.
Hey, Jason, always a pleasure to chat with you, man.
Thanks.
Have a great one on Sunday.
Yeah, hope so. Thank you.
Jason West has been our guest. Everybody, again, Breakfast with Bob from beautiful Edmonton, Canada. Hold on. We will be right back.